In the small, quiet town of Willow Creek, there was a legend whispered among the locals, a tale so terrifying that it chilled the bones of anyone who heard it. It was said that on the outskirts of town, in a dilapidated old house, lived a girl named Emily. Emily was no ordinary girl. She was said to be cursed, a vessel for evil that had been lurking in the shadows since the beginning of time. The story goes that Emily's parents had mysteriously disappeared when she was just a baby, leaving her to be raised by her cruel, abusive aunt. As Emily grew older, strange things began to happen around her. People in the town would whisper about how animals would go missing, and eerie, unexplained noises could be heard coming from the house late at night. Despite the warnings, a group of curious teenagers decided to investigate the house one fateful Halloween night. Armed with flashlights and nerves of steel, they crept through the overgrown yard and into the house's dark, foreboding interior. As they ventured further into the house, the air grew colder, and a sense of dread washed over them. Suddenly they heard a soft, melodic humming coming from the upstairs. Ignoring their instincts to flee, they ascended the creaking staircase, their hearts pounding in their chests. At the top of the stairs, they found themselves in a long, narrow hallway lined with closed doors. The humming grew louder, guiding them to the last door at the end of the hall. With trembling hands, they pushed open the door and were met with a sight that would haunt them for the rest of their days. There, sitting in the center of the room, was Emily. But she was no ordinary girl. Her eyes glowed a sinister red, and her skin was as pale as the moonlight streaming through the window. She smiled at them, revealing rows of razor-sharp teeth. Before they could react, Emily let out a blood-curdling scream that seemed to shake the very foundations of the house. The walls began to close in around them, the floor beneath their feet turning to quicksand. In a panic, they tried to flee, but it was too late. The house had them now, and there was no escape. To this day, the house on the outskirts of Willow Creek stands empty and abandoned, a silent testament to the horrors that lie within, and the legend of Emily, the cursed girl with the red eyes, lives on, a cautionary tale for those who dare to seek out the darkness that lurks in the shadows. Years passed, and the town of Willow Creek tried to forget the horror of Emily and her cursed house. But some stories are too potent to fade away, and Emily's legend only grew with time. One day, a young woman named Sarah arrived in Willow Creek. She had heard the stories of Emily and her cursed house, but unlike the townspeople, she was not afraid. Sarah was a paranormal investigator, and she was determined to uncover the truth behind the legend. Sarah began her investigation by talking to the townspeople, hoping to find someone who could shed some light on the mystery. She soon learned that Emily's house had been the site of many strange occurrences over the years. People reported seeing lights flickering in the windows late at night and hearing disembodied voices coming from within. Undeterred, Sarah set out to explore the house for herself. As she crossed the threshold, she felt a chill run down her spine. The air was thick with the weight of the past, and she could sense that she was not alone. Sarah began to explore the house, taking note of its eerie atmosphere and the strange symbols carved into the walls. As she ventured deeper into the house, she began to hear the sound of faint whispers echoing through the halls. Following the sound, Sarah found herself in a small, dusty room at the end of a long hallway. In the center of the room sat a dusty old dollhouse, its windows dark and foreboding. Something about the dollhouse drew Sarah in, and she couldn't resist the urge to investigate further. As she peered through the tiny windows of the dollhouse, Sarah was shocked to see tiny figures inside, moving as if they were alive. She watched in horror as the figures reenacted scenes from the past, scenes of violence and despair. Suddenly, Sarah felt a cold hand on her shoulder, and she spun around to find herself face to face with Emily. The girl's eyes glowed with a malevolent light, and Sarah knew that she was in the presence of pure evil. Emily spoke to Sarah in a voice that seemed to come from beyond the grave. She told Sarah of the curse that had been placed upon her, a curse that had bound her to the house for eternity. Emily begged Sarah to help her break the curse, to free her from her prison of torment. Sarah was hesitant at first, unsure if she could trust the words of a ghost. But as she looked into Emily's eyes, she saw the pain and longing within them. She knew that she had to help Emily, no matter the cost. Together, Sarah and Emily worked to uncover the truth behind the curse. They learned that Emily's parents had been members of a secret society that practiced dark magic. When Emily was born, they had tried to use her as a vessel for a powerful demon, but the ritual had gone wrong, trapping Emily's soul in the house instead. With this knowledge, Sarah and Emily devised a plan to break the curse. They gathered the townspeople and performed a ritual to banish the demon from the house and free Emily's soul. As the ritual reached its climax, the house began to shake and a blinding light filled the room. When the light faded, Emily was gone, and the house was silent once more. The townspeople rejoiced, grateful that the curse had finally been lifted. Sarah, however, couldn't shake the feeling that something was not right. As she looked out over the town of Willow Creek, she couldn't help but wonder if they had truly defeated the evil that lurked within. And so, the legend of Emily and her cursed house came to an end, but the memory of the girl with the red eyes would forever haunt the town of Willow Creek, a reminder of the darkness that lies just beyond the edge of our world. For more scary and horror stories, please subscribe to my YouTube channel.